Yeah, hi guys. Me, Dave, and here's another video coming at you. Today's video, I'm going to talk about secrecy and the Wicca Old Laws. Um, Now, this is probably more for the teachers than it is the students or the seekers. They don't know enough to be serious enough about the laws. So, but what of these laws, these mystical guidelines that were put in place to help and advise the Wiccan in their times of troubles? Where did they come from? How did they come about, and where did they originate? Who knows? We know that Gerald Gardner wrote what is considered to be the basis for today's known Wicca laws. Where he got them from, I don't know personally. You know, it was influenced by the goddess, I'd say. If he wrote them up himself, it was divine inspiration from the goddess herself. And the way that they were written, I would say very much that they were influenced by the goddess, because it was written to help and protect us so that we would know how to act in times of persecution. And so the secrecy aspect, we would have had to been very, very secretive, especially during the burning times, persecution times. So we weren't allowed to talk at all. We weren't allowed to talk about our involvement even. We were to deny it. If somebody else started talking about witchcraft, we were to tell them, oh, you know, speak not to me of such. It frightens me. We were supposed to utterly avoid the topic. But now times have changed. People have changed. There's no longer persecution. So the question becomes, does that invalidate these laws about secrecy? Does it, or does it not? On the one hand, I would say that, well, you know what? I don't know what to say. I've been thinking about this, people, for a week, going over this in my mind, how I was going to present this to you and how we were going to talk about it. Because it's been bugging me for a while. You know, there is no persecution anymore. It's over. Could it come back? I suppose that there's a very slim margin, sure. Keepers of the old law and of the ancient law, and I'm one of them. You know, I do follow the old laws and old ways. We're supposed to preserve that. You know, we're supposed to be preserving the old traditions, and utter secrecy, complete secrecy, was of the old way, the old tradition. But it's becoming harder and harder to follow that. It really is. As the world continues to change and grow and evolve and adapt, secrecy of that type would seem to be irrelevant or redundant. So again, does that invalidate these laws that Gerald wrote? I've got them right here. You know, and it says right here, and I've got the spot that I wanted to read to you. What he says right here in this spot: ever remember, ye are the hidden children of the gods. So never do anything to disgrace them. Never boast, never threaten, never say you would wish ill to anyone. If you or any not in the circle speak of the craft, say, speak not to me of such, it frightens me. 'Tis evil luck to speak of it. So you can see right there in his writings that there was no compromise at all. you're supposed to utterly avoid the topic. Tell people it frightened you to talk about it. You were supposed to just not even be aware that witches existed. You know, or that you thought that they did. But anyway, we were supposed to utterly avoid it. So again, right back around, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but in this day and age, this modern time, I want to see the preservation of the old ways. I really do. I just feel totally natural in practicing them and following the rites and practices, and it just felt natural. But recently, it's become, maybe it's a part of my learning phase, this part of my incarnation. I'm supposed to be learning something from all this. Maybe you can help me. But how do we preserve the old ways and the traditions to such an extent as what's here in the writings, with the way that the world is changing? Do we change and grow and adapt with it? Or do we stay, for lack of a better term, in the Dark Ages? Now, if you approach it from Wicca as a religion, and a faith and a practice, I would say I really, again, I'm at a loss because there's so many variables, there's so many ways of looking at it. And I suppose that's why I'm making this video, because it's been bugging me for a while now. All week, since my last video, last week, I started thinking about my next video, this one. And it's just been tugging at my mind all week. This whole secrecy thing and the old laws and traditions and trying to preserve them in an ever-growing and ever-changing world. How do we approach this? Now, basic secrecy stuff within, and I'm talking within coven practice. There are obviously secretive things. There's going to be a level of secrecy when you're working with a coven. It has to be. Especially if you're working with multiple ranks or levels, such as the way that I was trained. One level will know some things that another level cannot know. Like the knowledge of the high priest. The high priest knew stuff that the regular priests under him could not know. Things like that. Secrecy within a coven is one thing, and I always think that should be maintained no matter what. There is no compromise there. But the main point of this video and the topic is the secrecy outside of that, and how we're supposed to handle ourselves in public in an ever-changing, ever-growing world. And if we always keep with the way the old ways were written and stick with it, and I'm sure this has occurred for many people out there, how are we supposed to get in contact with each other? How are we supposed to find each other? Some people would say, well, and especially again, in the way that I was trained, we say, the goddess will guide us to each other in one way or another. I could tell you from experience that sometimes that could take a while for that to happen. I love my goddess, of course, and I have a lot of faith there, but still all these questions, I'm still human, still learning and growing and changing as I go through each incarnation. But so how would you handle this? How would you handle this, guys? What are your thoughts on this? And again, this might be more for the teachers out there, for the older ones. Of course, you young people who might watch this, I welcome your comments too. But again, there's that question, does it necessarily invalidate the old laws and traditions regarding secrecy? So give me your thoughts, people, and have a happy Saturday. Blessed be.